From using glue on your hands to changing up the baseballs, these are the times MLB players were caught cheating. First up, a pitcher who made an art of sneaking something slippery onto the ball. Gaylord Perry retired as one of the best pitchers in MLB history, a guy who could spin a baseball so well he earned a spot in the Hall of Fame. But did you know he achieved all that by cheating? Sounds wild, right? Perry didn't just throw pitches, he made the spitball his signature move. Even after MLB banned the pitch in 1920, Perry kept it alive for years, acting as if nothing was out of the ordinary. Spitting, greasing, whatever he could do to get an edge. He'd casually rub his hands on his jersey, sneak a little something slippery onto the ball, and boom, the batter never knew what hit him. Perry even joked, "They'll never catch the grease." He may have been caught a few times, but that didn't stop him from making it into the Hall of Fame, proving that sometimes even the sneakiest cheats can make history. But if you thought sneaking grease onto a baseball was bad, just wait a moment. Look at how the Houston Astros took it to a whole new level with their high-tech cheating scheme. Winning the World Series is the dream for every team, and in 2017, the Houston Astros seemed unstoppable. They were outplaying their opponents with precision and seemed to know what was coming on every pitch. Opposing teams struggled to find answers, with no one quite able to match the Astros' consistency and skill. But then, in 2019, a whistleblower revealed the shocking truth. The Astros had been using cameras to cheat. They'd installed a camera in center field, focused on the opposing team's catcher, sending live footage to the dugout. A player would then bang on a trash can to signal the batter. One bang for a fastball, no bang for a curveball. It was simple, sneaky, and unbelievably effective. Once the truth was out, fans and players were outraged. This wasn't just cheating. It was a betrayal that cut to the core of baseball's soul. The Astros were fined $5 million, lost their draft picks, and both their manager and GM were suspended. But the real punishment? Their 2017 World Series title will forever be tainted. While some teams used technology to cheat, another player became his team's best pitcher by using glue. In 2014, during a heated game between the Yankees and the Red Sox, Michael Pineda thought he could get away with a little pine tar on his neck. Seriously, on his neck. The sticky substance was supposed to help him get a better grip on the ball, but it wasn't long before the Red Sox noticed the dark, gooey smudge. Pineda's attempt at being sneaky completely backfired. Cameras zoomed in, the opposing team pointed it out, and the umpires weren't having it. Pineda was ejected from the game, and his neck stun earned him a 10-game suspension. It was like watching someone try to cheat on an open book test. Obvious and just plain careless, especially in a time where cameras capture everything. The pine tar incident became an embarrassing moment for Pineda, and a clear reminder that, in the age of HD cameras, trying to cheat is a high-risk, low-reward game. Sticky substances have been a problem for a while, but when a bat shatters and something strange falls out, things get a lot more interesting. Speaking of sneaky, Sammy Sosa's corked bat scandal had everyone wondering if this home run king had been hiding a little secret. In 2003, Sosa was at bat against the Tampa Bay Rays when he shattered his bat on a swing. As pieces of wood scattered across the field, something strange popped out: a cork. Corked bats give hitters an unfair advantage by making the bat lighter and easier to swing, and Sosa's busted bat sent shockwaves through the stadium. Fans were left wondering, was this a one-time mistake, or had he been using corked bats all along? To find out, the league tested 76 of his other bats. While those tests cleared him, the damage was done. Sosa was suspended for 7 games, and his reputation took a serious hit. But Sosa wasn't the only one getting his hands dirty. Literally. Some internet gurus didn't need any equipment at all. They just needed a computer. Cheating in baseball usually happens on the field, but this next guy took things to a whole new level. In 2015, Chris Correa, the Cardinals scouting director, pulled off one of the most shocking scandals in baseball history. He didn't just cheat on the field. He hacked the Houston Astros' internal database. Correa gained access to confidential scouting reports, trade talks, and player data. This wasn't your typical cheating scandal. This was a full-on federal crime. The FBI got involved, and suddenly, baseball had its first hacking scandal. Correa wasn't just stealing signs, he was stealing entire strategies. The result? nearly 4 years in prison, and millions in fines for the Cardinals. Baseball fans were stunned, and the league was forced to handle one of the most unexpected scandals ever seen. Cheating doesn't always involve a bat, but it's always game-changing when you get caught. Not all scandals are this high-tech. Sometimes, it's as simple as this player accidentally bringing his phone into the game. Phones on the field? Yeah, that actually happened. In 2022, Rodolfo Castro slid into third base, and this is what came flying out of his pocket. His phone flew out of his back pocket and landed on the field for everyone to see. Fans couldn't believe it. Phones are banned from the field for obvious reasons: communication, distraction, or worst case scenario, potential cheating. Was it an innocent mistake? Castro claimed it was, but the league didn't buy it. The guy got slapped with a fine and a suspension. Everyone from the crowd to the umpires was in shock, and the whole incident became one of the most bizarre moments of the season. If you thought carrying a phone onto the field was weird, wait until you hear about the Mets manager who tried to sneak back into a game in disguise. After getting ejected from a game, most managers just leave the field. But this guy had other plans. In 1999, Mets manager Bobby Valentine was thrown out of a game for arguing with an umpire. But instead of heading to the locker room, he put on a fake mustache, sunglasses, and a completely new outfit. His goal? To keep coaching from the dugout without getting caught. At first, it seemed like a ridiculous joke, but cameras quickly zoomed in on the disguised figure. It didn't take long for everyone to realize it was the ejected manager trying to pull off one of the most absurd stunts in baseball. As fans were laughing, it didn't take long for the league to catch on, and he ended up with a $5,000 fine and a 2-game suspension. The guy thought he could pull off the stunt, but MLB wasn't having it. Managers in disguise might be funny, but it's nothing compared to another sticky situation that happened with Max Scherzer. In 2021, Scherzer's sticky substance drama had everyone talking. Scherzer, one of baseball's top pitchers, found himself in a sticky situation, pun intended. During a game in 2021, the umpire stopped play to check Scherzer's glove and hands, which were suspiciously sticky. Scherzer insisted it was just sweat and rosin, but the umps weren't buying it. Sticky substances help pitchers get a better grip and more control, which is why MLB had just started cracking down hard on it. Scherzer swore on his kids' lives that he wasn't cheating, but it didn't matter. He was ejected from the game and handed a 10-game suspension. Fans were split. Was he really guilty, or was this part of the league's stricter enforcement? While sticky substances have caused quite a stir, nothing compares to the chaos that erupted over a bat and some pine tar. From sneaky fans to sneaky pitchers, this is one of the biggest meltdowns in baseball history. George Brett's pine tar disaster. Brett hits what should have been a game-winning home run against the Yankees, but the Yankees weren't letting it go. They protested, claiming Brett had too much pine tar on his bat. Now, pine tar is legal, but only up to a certain point, and Brett, he went over the limit. The umpires measured the bat and confirmed the Yankees were right. Brett's home run was reversed and he was called out. What followed was pure chaos. Brett stormed out of the dugout, ready to fight anyone who stood in his way. His meltdown became an iconic moment, one of those scenes baseball fans talk about decades later. Eventually, the league reinstated his home run, but Brett's reaction is what everyone remembers. His bat may have been sticky, but his meltdown even stickier. From pine tar to something even sneakier. Do you think these incidents were shocking? We're just getting started. Let's head back to a time when technology was a bit different, but cheating was just as real. Not every cheating incident involves high-tech methods or dramatic meltdowns. Sometimes it's just about a little bit of sneaky handiwork. In 1987, veteran pitcher Joe Niekro tried to get an edge with nothing more than a nail file. That's right. During a game, Niekro was caught with the tool in his back pocket, which he used to scuff up the baseball, giving it unpredictable movement. When the umpires approached him, Niekro tried to casually toss the nail file away, hoping no one would notice. But it was too late. He was caught red-handed. The result? Niekro got ejected from the game and hit with a 10-game suspension. His attempt to be sly became one of the most infamous examples of a pitcher getting busted for doctoring the ball. Sneaky? Yes. Yes. Successful? Not at all. Niekro's nail file may have been low-tech, but the Giants took things to a whole new level. Their sign-stealing scheme was a high-stakes game-changer. Back in 1951, the New York Giants pulled off a sign-stealing operation that would go down in baseball history. They weren't just watching the game from the dugout. They had a telescope set up in the outfield, aimed straight at the opposing catcher. The Giants used the telescope to decode the catcher's signals, then relayed that information to their batter through a series of hand signals. It was a clever system, and it played a key role in their legendary comeback to win the National League pennant, including the unforgettable moment when Bobby Thompson hit the shot heard round the world. But even as fans celebrated that famous home run, whispers of the Giants' scene-stealing scheme spread. While this story has become part of baseball folklore, it still leaves a lingering question. Was their historic victory entirely clean, or did they cross the ethical line with their telescope trick? But what happens when these players not only cross the line on the field, but also betray the game's integrity off the field? While other players cheat to win, Pete Rose took it a step further by betting on the very games he was playing in. Back in 1989, the baseball world was rocked when it was revealed that Pete Rose, the all-time hits leader, had been betting on baseball games. And not just any games. He was betting on games involving his own team, both as a player and a manager for the Cincinnati Reds. The allegations were shocking. Fans and players alike couldn't believe that someone with Rose's talent and achievements would be caught up in something so scandalous. Rose's involvement in gambling led to his lifetime ban from the sport, a punishment that left a permanent stain on his otherwise legendary career. Even with his 4,256 hits, a record still untouched, Rose's betting scandal overshadows his accomplishments. He was excluded from the Hall of Fame, a controversial decision that still has fans divided today. Some argue his on-field success should be honored, while others believe he broke baseball's most sacred rule and got what he deserved. To this day, Pete Rose remains a baseball legend, but the betting scandal forever clouds his legacy. And while his stats will always stand, his reputation as a player and manager has been permanently damaged. Betting scandals may cause drama, but it's not as crazy as using drugs to cheat. And some players went even further. Just listen to Ken Caminiti and his steroid confession. In 1996, Ken Caminiti had an unforgettable season, winning National League MVP and leading the San Diego Padres to the playoffs. But his success didn't come without a dark side. A few years later, Caminiti admitted that he had been using steroids during his MVP season. His confession wasn't just a personal bombshell. It lifted the curtain on a much bigger issue in baseball: the widespread use of performance-enhancing drugs. Caminiti was blatantly honest about his steroid use, claiming that he wasn't the only one. He believed that 50% of the league was also juicing. The revelation left fans in shock and put the league under pressure to address the growing steroid problem. His admission fueled the start of stricter drug testing policies across the MLB, leading to some of the sport's biggest controversies in the years to come. While Ken Caminiti's legacy is forever tied to his steroid admission, his bold honesty helped push baseball into an era of reform. Unfortunately, his story also serves as a tragic cautionary tale. Caminiti passed away in 2004 with his body ravaged by years of drug and substance abuse. Performance-enhancing drugs may have been one way to cheat, but in baseball, even the equipment could be altered for an unfair advantage. Some players will do anything to win, but Albert Belle's corked bat scandal was more than just cheating. It was a full-blown heist. In 1994, during a game, Albert Belle's bat was confiscated by umpires who suspected it might be corked. But what happened next turned the whole scandal into one of baseball's weirdest moments. The Cleveland Indians, Belle's team, weren't about to sit back and let their star get caught. Look at how things got wild. One of Belle's teammates crawled through the ceiling tiles of the umpire's room, Mission Impossible style, to try and switch the bat with a legal one. But they got busted. And when the original bat was tested, it was confirmed corked. Belle got hit with a suspension, and the entire incident became a legend for how bizarre the cover-up attempt was. In the end, Belle didn't just get caught with a corked bat. He left fans and players scratching their heads over how far his team went to hide it. Using a corked bat is one thing, but what if you stepped up to the plate with a broomstick? This catcher found himself at the center of a bizarre controversy. During a game, Rick Dempsey was accused of using a broomstick disguised as a bat. That's right, a broomstick. It wasn't your typical cheating scandal, but it raised plenty of eyebrows. While MLB never officially punished him, fans and critics wondered how far players would go to get an advantage. Was it a joke gone too far, or was it a real attempt at cheating? We may never know, but the broomstick incident remains a quirky, head-scratching moment in baseball history. From broomsticks to PEDs, baseball saw its fair share of scandals, but Manny Ramirez's suspension was a wake-up call for the entire league. Manny Ramirez, one of the game's most entertaining and charismatic hitters, was suspended after testing positive for a banned substance. Fans were stunned. Manny was one of the biggest names in baseball, and this wasn't just a slap on the wrist. He got hit with a 50-game suspension, and his once legendary career took a serious nosedive. The suspension was part of MLB's ongoing crackdown on PED use, and Manny's positive test put him at the center of the controversy. The incident sparked even more debate over just how deep performance-enhancing drugs ran in baseball during that era. Manny's reputation took a hit, and for many, his place in baseball history became tainted. Though Manny Ramirez eventually returned to the field, his suspension marked a turning point in the league's fight against PEDs. While Manny's career suffered, some players found themselves caught up in multiple controversies that effectively ended their time in the spotlight. Getting caught once is bad, but Hector Santiago somehow managed to get busted twice, and guess what it cost him? His career. In 2021, Hector Santiago got busted for violating MLB's new sticky substance rule. Umpires checked his glove and found something sticky, leading to a 10-game suspension. But that wasn't the end for Santiago. As soon as his suspension was over, he got hit with a bigger problem, a failed drug test for steroids. That second violation earned him an 80-game suspension, effectively ending his career. Santiago went from pitching in the big leagues to being a poster boy for MLB's crackdown on cheating. Sticky gloves were one thing, but steroids? That was the final nail in the coffin of his career. But if you thought Santiago's fall was dramatic, it's nothing compared to the scandal that engulfed one of baseball's biggest names. The 1919 Black Sox Scandal, the moment when baseball's integrity was sold for cold, hard cash. 8 players from the Chicago White Sox, including shoeless Joe Jackson, were accused of throwing the World Series in exchange for money from gamblers. This was baseball's darkest moment. Fans were in disbelief. The idea that their heroes would lose on purpose for money was shocking. An investigation began, and the players' involvement became undeniable. All 8 players were banned from baseball for life, and shoeless Joe Jackson's legacy was tarnished forever. The Black Sox scandal became a cautionary tale of how greed can destroy even the biggest stars. But it wouldn't be the last time a team used dirty tactics to win. Remember, the Houston Astros took it to a whole new level with their high-tech cheating scheme and showed how far some would go for victory. But in recent years, one team took things even further. Aaron Judge is one of the most feared hitters in baseball, and just last year, his reputation took a hit when he was accused of stealing signs. During a Yankees game, Judge was caught glancing toward the dugout just before a pitch was thrown, raising eyebrows and sparking speculation. Moments later, he hit a massive home run, causing fans and commentators to question whether he had received a heads-up about the incoming pitch. While there was no concrete evidence to prove wrongdoing, the controversy lingered, adding a layer of intrigue to Judge's already impressive career. While sign stealing has always been a hot topic, not every cheating incident involves something as subtle as a glance toward the dugout. Albert Belle's corked bat was bad enough, but remember that I told you someone actually tried to steal it back from the umpires? When Belle's bat was confiscated for being corked, the Cleveland Indians weren't about to just let it slide. Look at Belle's teammate Jason Grimsley, who took matters into his own hands. In a scene that felt more like a spy movie than a baseball game, Grimsley actually crawled through the ceiling tiles of the umpire's office. What was the plan? Switch the corked bat for a regular one before anyone notices. But just like in the movie, the heist didn't go as planned. The umpires quickly realized something was up, and Grimsley's covert mission was busted. The bat was tested and confirmed to be corked, and Belle faced the consequences. And this became one of the wildest cheating moments in MLB history. And his failed mission wasn't just a ridiculous attempt at cheating. It made Belle's corked bat scandal even more unforgettable. Bizarre incidents like this show how far players are willing to go to gain an edge. However, while some players sneak around trying to hide their cheating, sometimes fans are the ones stirring up the chaos. Some fans can be just as sneaky, like this one, who decided to use a laser pointer to mess with a player. In one of the most bizarre moments during a Mets game, a fan pulled out a laser pointer and aimed it right at the Dodgers bat. The green beam flickered across the batter's face, causing confusion on both sides. Players didn't know what was happening, and the umpires had to stop the game to figure it out. But in all the chaos, who was the fan who started it? He vanished into the crowd. The game eventually continued, but that interference left both teams shaken. It might have been a clever trick by the fan, but it definitely didn't go unnoticed. No one ever found the guy, and it was one of those moments that left a sour taste. From one of MLB's biggest fans to an unexpected scandal, even Little League isn't safe from controversy. A decade ago, a team from Chicago, known as Jackie Robinson West, took the Little League World Series by storm, winning the U.S. Championship and becoming local heroes. But their victory didn't last long. Soon after the celebration, it came out that the team had used ineligible players, recruiting kids from outside their district. The news hit hard, not just for the Little League community, but for baseball fans everywhere. Here was a team of young kids, and their victory was stripped away because of dishonest recruiting tactics. The league moved quickly, revoking their title and leaving a sour taste in what should have been an innocent competition. The scandal served as a stark reminder that cheating can happen at any level of the game, even among kids. It wasn't just a lesson for the players, but for coaches and leagues everywhere. But as we've seen, cheating only gets bigger as the stakes rise, especially when the cheating engulfs one of baseball's biggest names, Barry Bonds, the man who holds the home run record, but with a legacy forever stained by the word steroid. In the 2000s, Bonds went from a great player to superhuman, crushing an unbelievable 73 home runs in a single season. But with his new superhuman stat came whispers and accusations of steroid use. Fans and players alike started questioning whether Bonds' record-breaking performances were really due to his talent or something else. Things took a turn when Bonds was indicted for lying to a grand jury about his steroid use. This led to legal battles, a felony conviction, and his exclusion from the Hall of Fame, despite holding the home run record. Bonds might have been a home run king, but to many, his achievements are forever tainted. Steroids, corked bats, and sticky substances might be crazy, but they're nothing compared to the 1 in 1 million moments in baseball. I'm talking wild throws, unbelievable plays, and jaw-dropping moments that will leave you stunned. Want to see the most shocking moments in baseball history? Click on the next video to find out.